Hello and welcome to the Fit to Transform podcast, where you learn how to train and diet effectively and, most importantly, how to maintain those results for life, once and for all. I'm Nikias Tomasiello, a transgender training and nutrition coach working online with anyone who's ready for a true lifestyle transformation, anywhere they may be in the world. As a friendly reminder, any and all information provided is for educational purposes only. You should consult with your doctor before implementing any changes to your diet and exercise program. With that disclaimer out of the way, thank you for being here. Now grab yourself a cup of tea or pre-workouts and enjoy. Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of the podcast. I've got to say I'm really excited, but I'm also nervous. I am a huge podcast nerd. I literally listen to podcasts every day, and I've been meaning to start my own for ages, but as I said, I've got nerves. So you have to bear with me. I'm going to do my best today, and I know that the more podcasts I record, the better I'll get. And I'm also confident that the information I want to give you today is valuable. You just have to bear with me being a little bit anxious about how it's going to go. And it's going to be an adventure. We're going to find out how it goes together. Now, on to today's episode. This is the first in the No Quit Kit series, which is part of a free email course that you can sign up for at any time using the link in the show notes. The aim of this course is to set you up for long-term fat loss success so that you stop going on diet after diet. You've done a lot of diets before. I am here to help you level up to achieve a true lifestyle transformation. The topic of the first episode of No Quit Kit is going to be mindset, because that is step one to a successful fat loss journey. Without the right mindset, you are going to quit. So in this episode, I'm going to cover the components of an ineffective mindset, and I'm going to give you tips on how to retrain your own mindset for long-term fat loss success. So first of all, what is an ineffective mindset? Why exactly do people quit? I've been asking this question ever since I started coaching. I even have a question on mindset on the application form that every new client fills out before having a consultation with me. And the question is this: why haven't you been able to achieve your goal in the past? And with all the conversations I've had in the last 3 years of coaching, I've identified 4 main reasons why people quit that are all related to an ineffective mindset. Reason number 1 is that you quit when you don't see results fast enough. And the thing is, most people aren't unreasonable. I'm sure you, like everyone else, know that it's going to take time to achieve the transformation that you're after. In fact, I have another questionnaire. I've been told I am very thorough, and I send out this questionnaire when someone signs up to work with me. And in this questionnaire, I ask, when do you expect to see results? And never in 3 years has anybody answered with, well, yeah, I think I'm gonna have abs in 2 weeks. No, we all know it takes time. So why is it that we keep falling for quick fix diets? Well, first of all, for the allure of instant gratification. Ultimately, in our current society where we can have everything we want really quickly, we're impatient. But also, we tend to associate dieting with pain, and no one likes to be tortured for very long. And finally, we're focusing on unhelpful goals. Now, here's how you can retrain your mindset to work around these ineffective thoughts about fat loss. First of all, this is going to sound super cliche and everything says it, but you've got to love the process. And what does that mean? It means you need to find a diet and a training program that you actually freaking like. Because if you love what you're doing, that's going to make it so much easier to be patient. Because imagine doing your favorite thing in the world. For me, that's writing fantasy or training in the gym or working on a client's training program, for example, do you look at the clock every 5 seconds, or do you get lost in it and completely forget that time exists? For me, I completely forget that time is even a thing. And that clearly helps with impatience. Secondly, you want to take a realistic approach, not an extreme approach. Now, this is not to say that extreme methods are quote unquote bad or can never work. They can absolutely work and even really well, but there are two important caveats. First of all, they tend to work only for short periods of time. You can't apply a very extreme approach to a lifestyle change, because if it's a lifestyle, you are aiming to do this forever. And if it's extreme, how long is that actually going to last? The second caveat is that you need to have experience with sustainable methods first to be successful with more extreme methods. For example, let's take running and walking. So every toddler starts walking first because walking is easier, it's lower impact, and it's less risky, right? It's more sustainable. Yes, it takes longer to get from A to B, but you can sustain it more easily. Running is higher impact, it's riskier, it's harder to sustain for the long term unless you're really good at endurance, which toddlers are not, at least from what I know. So that's why the toddler starts walking first and then they start running. And it's the same approach you need to take to this. You are bombarded every day with extreme diets and with the promise of losing 20 pounds in 2 weeks. However, it works, but only for the 2 weeks that you do it. And then you go back to what you were doing, because again, it's an extreme approach. It's not going to become a lifestyle. And then you regain all the weight, and often more than where you started. The last way to retrain your mindset is to shift your focus away from common goals that people tend to chase and shift that attention towards goals that are actually helpful to you. So, the common goals that people chase are your weight on the scale, pictures, and circumference measurements. Now, these, I call them goals because that's what people think they are, but this is just data. They give you data telling you roughly where it is that you're going, okay? But they're not goals in and of themselves. It's like if you had to reach a destination, then scales, pictures, and measurements would be your compass. But the goal is to reach your destination, which you do by walking. The goal is not to stare at the compass, waiting and hoping that the compass will teleport you where you need to go. So the goals that you actually need to focus on are what I call key performance indicators. These are daily or weekly behaviors that are under your control and that you can keep building upon week to week. If they are under your control, it's more empowering to chase them because you actually have agency over them. You can do something about them. When you step on the scale, whether it's down or up, is really not under your control. And if the scale is up, what are you going to do? Shake it? It's not going to change anything. Come on. Whereas your key performance indicators are under your control. And if you can keep building upon them week to week, you get the satisfying feeling of leveling up. It's the same feeling we get from playing video games. Why do we play video games? Because when your experience points gauge fills up and you level up, you're like, yeah, I'm awesome. Or at least that's how I feel. That's why I play video games. The thing is, you also need the right key performance indicators or KPIs so that you know exactly what you need to focus on, because there's a lot of confusion on the internet about what's best for fat loss. Is it calories? Is it cardio? Is it lifting weights? Is it sugar? Is it fat? What is going on? With the right guidance, you are going to have extreme clarity over everything that you need to do. And when I say everything, it sounds like it's going to be a whole list of things. There are only a few key performance indicators that you actually need to pay attention to. Now, on to reason number two for why so many people quit. You're taught to go on a diet, not to live a lifestyle. And I've mentioned extreme methods before, but this applies to more sustainable diets as well. For example, Slimming World. I went to an event in Manchester last week, and I was talking to this lovely lady that I'll be calling Jane from now on. And Jane was telling me how much weight she lost doing Slimming World and how much she learned about healthy eating. And that is all awesome. But then she also told me that as soon as she thought, well, I've got the results that I wanted, so I'm going to stop doing the Slimming World, she went back to square one and even gained more weight than she had started with. So this isn't only true of extreme methods. This is also true of more sustainable methods that you could actually see yourself doing in the long term. So here's how you can retrain your mindset around this. First of all, you've got to commit not to a 30-day diet or a 6-week program. You are committing to a lifestyle transformation, which means you don't need a diet in the way that we are familiar with diets. So I'm thinking keto or the 1200 calorie diet or Atkins or the cabbage soup diet. You don't need, let's call it a commercial diet, a diet that you're being pushed to buy on social media. You need a flexible approach that leads to fat loss, but it can also be adapted to every change you undergo in your life. For example, moving home, getting a pet, getting kids, going on a holiday, having a wedding, etc. There are so many potential clients that ask me, hey, I want to start, but I have a holiday in X weeks. Is that something that works for this program? And I always tell them, mine isn't a program, it's a flexible method that will work with any lifestyle. For example, my client James just went to Brazil for a whole week. So he's based in the UK and he traveled all the way to Brazil and he's in a fat loss phase right now. And we created a flexible method for him to stay on track in Brazil. And James had his check-in today and he told me, I am super happy. I feel like I was very active. I ended up eating really good food. I feel like I nourished my body. I didn't feel like I was snacking on unhelpful food for fat loss or that I was losing control and overeating. And all of this while being in a completely different country on a different continent as well. So it is absolutely possible if you're being taught the right approach, which is a flexible approach. And you also need guidance on what it means exactly to be flexible. And my advice is be flexible with the method, but strict with the goal. Most people do the opposite. They are too strict with the method. They have a null or nothing mentality where if they can't be perfect, then screw it. And then they keep starting over on Monday. The thing is, you don't need to be perfect. What gets you results is consistency, not perfection. And you'll be consistent if you keep your eyes on the goal that you need to achieve and not on the method that you're using, because there are many ways to get to that goal as long as you're 100% committed to doing your best to achieve it. And when I say goal, again, I'm not talking about being strict about how much weight you want to lose or how you're supposed to look in a picture. I'm talking about being strict with the goals that are going to take you to that long-term outcome that you want. And these are, again, your key performance indicators, your KPIs. These KPIs need to be your non-negotiables, which means they will get done. But how they get done doesn't matter. For example, let's say one of your non-negotiables is 10,000 steps every day, and then one day you only get 6,000. Now, what you do if you're too strict with the approach and too loose with the goal is that you'll say, well, I couldn't get 10,000 today, So screw it, I just won't try and I'll do better tomorrow and today. I'll just write this off and forget about it. Now you're being too loose with the goal because you're giving up on achieving 10,000 steps per day, and too strict with the approach because if you can't do it every single day, then it's not good enough. Instead, if you commit to achieving a 10,000 steps average per day, that means that if you've done 6,000 steps, you need an extra 4,000. So what you can do is do an extra 1,000 steps every day in the next 4 days on top of your 10,000. And on average, across the entire week, you still get your 10,000 steps in. So don't give up because you couldn't be perfect once. If you're flexible with the methods and you're strict with your non negotiables, you will truly get lifelong results. Finally, reason number 3 why so many people quit is you second guess yourself. You don't know that what you're doing is working or if it could be better, and you have no one to hold you accountable for your actions. And that is why you can get incredible results with a coach and a supportive community. Call me biased, this is my job, but it's true. That's why my job exists to begin with. These are the pros of having a coach. The coach takes the guesswork out. You stop second guessing what you do. You know that they're the expert. If they say, do this, you'll know, okay, if they're giving me this option, it means that it's in line with my goals. At least, I'm talking about good coaches because in my not so humble opinion, I think I'm good. And that's what I would do with a client. Secondarily, a good coach is also going to help you celebrate your strengths and help you commit to doing better in the future and finding solutions to doing better. It's not going to tell you that you always have got to be perfect or else you're not going to get to your goal. It's not going to accuse you. They are not going to accuse you of not wanting it bad enough. Because as I said, that doesn't work. That just makes you go screw it and start over Monday. We need to stop starting over Monday because there are only so many Mondays in somebody's life before we die. And I didn't want to go full dark humor on you in the very first podcast, but here we are. The final pro of having a coach, and there are loads, but these are just the 3 main ones that I've identified for this podcast. Okay, so the third one is the coach is going to provide you with clarity and relief when you're wondering, is what I'm doing working? Could it be better? Do I need to do more? What do I need to do that's more? When the coach tells you, no, you don't need to do anything else. What you're doing is working. Just keep at it. It is so freaking liberating. And I say that not only as somebody who coaches people, but I have had my own coach myself. And I know that when I'm second guessing myself, even as the professional, it's very hard to be objective when it's about your own journey. When I'm assessing my data and I'm thinking, what do I need to do? Do I need to do anything else? Is what I'm doing working? When my coach tells me, nope, everything is working really, really well, I'm like, yes. And that keeps me motivated. I really don't want to quit because I am more confident now that what I'm doing is working. And these are the pros of having a community. Many people feel alone on their fitness journey because they're trying to make a big change in their life, and other people that are important to them that are in their life are not doing the same thing. And that's absolutely fair. Everybody needs to feel empowered to do what they want to do with their life. But that's why having a community of like minded people on the same journey is so, so helpful. And that includes a coach, but it can include also a group. For example, I have a clients only Facebook group that all of my clients use to interact with me and between each other. The second pro of having a community and a coach is that you will be distracted by the rest of your life if you're doing it on your own. But if you have a coach that checks in on you, and all of my clients check in with me once a week, then if you have somebody there that you know is going to ask you, hey, are you doing what we agreed that you would do? How is that going? What results are you seeing? What questions do you have? And if you have these like minded people who are also talking about doing exactly the same thing, at least once every day you are exposed to these people, it's going to be so much more helpful to keep you focused and help you keep your eyes on the prize so that you don't quit. And voila! Now you know the three main reasons that I've identified as to why so many people quit. And you also know my main tips on how to retrain your mindset so that you won't fall for these ineffective mindset traps again. To finish off, if you get nothing else out of this episode, I want you to get this: hope. You are not doomed to quitting forever. You're not doomed to starting over Monday every single week. Not if you retrain your mindset. This podcast is a great starting point, so don't forget to subscribe. Lastly, I have a little task for you. When you finish this episode, sit down for 5 to 10 minutes with a piece of paper and a pen and write down the answer to this question. Which beliefs about fat loss do you have that are part of an ineffective mindset? List them all. Self-discovery and self-awareness are the first steps to retrain your mindset. If you just listen to this podcast and don't do anything about it, nothing is going to change. So take that time for yourself to start truly retraining your mindset. I wish you the best with it. And I'm already looking forward to the next episode. And that's it for today's podcast. And I can already feel my adrenaline leaving my body. As I said, I was a little bit nervous. I hope that you enjoyed this first episode and that I'll see you again for the next one. If you're ready to start your lifestyle transformation, you can inquire for one-on-one online coaching with me. And the link to the application form is going to be in the show notes. As an alternative, you can register your interest for Transformation Kickstart, or TK for friends. This is a 6-week group coaching program that I'll be launching in August for the first time ever. Again, I am excited and a little bit nervous because I've always done one-on-one coaching. This is my first foray into group coaching, but I think it's going to be amazing, and I really want you to be part of it. If you join TK, you're going to get personalized nutrition advice for fat loss. You're going to get a challenging training program to get strong and toned AF without doing grueling HIIT workouts 8 days a week. As I said, this is a true lifestyle transformation. It's not just another diet. And you're going to get a Facebook community with weekly group calls with me and with your other peers, plus support and accountability from other like-minded people just like you on the same journey. Again, I am so excited to be building this little TK family. Last but not least, you get me as your very own coach. I'm going to educate you, not just give you some calorie targets or a list of exercises and say, all right, see you in 6 weeks. It's going to be informative and it's going to set you up not only for the 6 weeks. That's why it's called Transformation Kickstart. It's going to set you up for a lifetime. What more could you want? So once again, click on the link in the show notes to either apply for one-on-one coaching or register your interest for Transformation Kickstart. TK is going to start for the first time ever on Monday, August 22nd. Finally, if you found this podcast helpful and you want to support it and you want to help me ease into podcasting and, get rid of my nerves over time, I would really appreciate a review. You can leave a few words if you like, or just leave a 5-star review or any podcast platform that you're using. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.